Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So I'm back in my large Dilutions creative journal. After I did my 8-day colour therapy week, if you like, I didn't do a black and white or greyscale art journal page because I've done black and white pages in the past many times before, usually in my black Dilutions journal with white pen or paint, and I've occasionally done kind of like grayscale-y kind of art journal pages, but I've kind of been drawn back into it again. Let me just pin those pages together because I'm only going to be using this side. I'm not going to do a double page spread today unless it gets a little bit out of hand, which it sometimes does. So what I'm going to do is I've just brought out some black gesso, Dina Wakley black gesso. I've also got some Dina Wakley. I've got Dina Wakley white, I've got elephant, which is a grey, and I've also got buff. But while I'm thinking about it, I may also use some raven black, which is a metallic black paint, almost like hematite. And I've also got indigo blue silver, which I may also throw in a little bit of that. Maybe, don't know yet, haven't really decided. But I do have kind of an idea in my head. I've got a picture, I wanted a black and white photograph, a male face. So I went off and did a bit of a search and found this chappie, which, you know, is okay. I did have a backup of this one. They're very freckly. Excuse the noise of the chair in the background. They're quite freckly kind of guys. The idea originally in my head was to have two, one on either side, but I think it's going to be a bit too much. And I'm going to blend these in, I was going to blend them into the page, but I think I'm only going to do it with the one today. So the first thing that I need to do is to get this, thank you Mr. Printer. First thing I need to do is to get this guy stuck down on the page, but before I do that I want to add some gesso to the page, hence the black. So I want to add some black gesso, if I've got much left. Right, so I'm going to need some wet wipes as per normal. Get those on hand, and a paintbrush. I'll just get rid of that, and then I'm going to just add black gesso to the page. Again, not bothered about the edges. I'm going to concentrate more across like a diagonally kind of affair over here. But while it's still wet, or while it's drying, if you like, a little bit down this side, I'm going to throw in a little bit of, just a tiny bit, just to break up that background so that it's not completely tone free. And I know you probably can't see a lot of it because of how dark the black is. That's it, add a little bit more. This is the elephant that I'm adding. That's it. So it's not stark black. There is a kind of variation in the colour tone in the background. It is dark, but not black. And I'm not bothered if you can see the paintbrush marks, that's fine. But there's a kind of nice variation in the colour tone up there. You add a little bit more, or at this stage actually bring in a little bit of that silver paint. Just a tiny bit. I'm trying not to do it. Thank you. Don't want any usurper bits. That's better. I'm trying to do this so you can see it without getting too much of a reflection on the back from the lights above my desk. kind of like that squarish kind of effect the paintbrush gives you. There, you can see pretty much there. A little bit more there. And it's just light touches with a paintbrush. And while it's still wet, just kind of blend them in. Some of this will get covered, obviously. A bit more black paint down there, maybe. Bring some of that silver in down there. Nice kind of cross-hatchy effect. And that silver just adds a little bit of detail. Okay, I think I'm happy with that for now. So I'm going to put the paint away, grab my heat gun, get it dry, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so the page is now dry, so if I just lift up the page, you can see if I tilt it, there you go, you get different effects from different angles, and you can see the shine coming through from that silver paint, which is great. It kind of breaks up that matte black background enough for it not to be boring. So when I bring my chappy back in now and stick him down about there, immediately he starts to blend into that background, which is great. Just what we want. So I need some matte medium, a big squirt of matte medium, and I'm aware that if I put too much matte medium on, that silver is going to vanish and it will stop being shiny because this is matte medium. Just clean my brush off. That'll do. That's okay, because I'm going to put some more of that silver paint back on again later. So just make sure I've got enough down. Just stick it over there for now. Just quickly run some on the back of my image. That'll stop it from curling too much. Okay, that'll do. So let me place him down about there. That should do me. Okay, now before he dries, I'm just going to take the top corner of that and I'm just going to quickly just tear it across and just through one of his eyes there. There we go. That way I'm not getting that stark line. Cool. Okay. Let's get that dry. I will make sure I dry this side as well because I don't want to put my elbow in it like I would do normally. Okay, so I just noticed that the camera started to record and then just shut itself off from recording while I was actually adding those colours onto the background. So what I've done is I've just built up and blended the photograph in the background like you saw me doing. I've just gone a bit more, adding in a bit more paint here, bringing it down here over his cheek, and then so he actually disappears almost completely on this side, and then I've blended in this section just here with a little bit more of that silver and black paint. I just need to add just a tiny bit more silver into it there, just to kind of tone that section down and bring him so it looks like he's coming out of that background a little bit. Almost like he's walking in from the shadows, and all you can see is that black. A little bit variation in the colour from that background. A little bit of that silver. Okay, so happy with that. I just need to get it all dried off, and then I'm going to bring in a stencil or some stencils and start adding in a little bit of detail up here. It's not going to be a completely overwhelming kind of layered affair today, but it'll be just enough. Okay, so I've got one of my stencils. This is the Carnival 2 stencil. I've also put a little bit of the Dinner Weekly buff on that palette there, along with some black, so Dinner Weekly black. You could use black gesso on this as well if you wanted to. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the black and a tiny bit of the buff, and I'm going to start just to incorporate some of those down into there. Now, before I go and let it get completely dry, I'm actually going to go over with some of the buff just to lighten it. If I need to, just to add a little bit more, I'm not moving the stencil at all. So while I'm also adding in a little bit of black, I'm also adding in a little bit of that lighter buff while it's still wet. So you can see the difference. You get darker and you get lighter all at the same time. And I'm going to just move the stencil down, pick up a little bit of that dark, and then add in again down the left hand side of my page. Pick up the buff. And just go over the top. Pick a little black. And then pick up the buff. And if I think certain areas are a bit too dark or a bit too light, I can get that real kind of subtle variation of the pattern coming through. So again, I'll dry that off. Okay, so you can probably see that a little bit better now. Definitely the shapes are showing through, even though it's only marginally tonally different from the background. So the next thing I want to do is just bring back that elephant, and then I want a smallish brush. Don't need a lot of paint to do this. I'm just going to stick some of that elephant just down there, pick up some on the brush, and then I've got some bubble wrap, the art journalist's friend, and I'm just going to add some of that bubble wrap and the black again, just tonally a little bit different, And then I'm going to take the bubble wrap and just add that. And a little bit down here. Very, very lightly. So again, you're getting those layers coming through. So again, let's dry that off. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to stamp with some white paint. So I've got my Dina Wakley white. I'm going to take a real small amount. I've got a little bit of cut and dry foam here. And I'm just going to add a little bit onto the foam. And with the spatula, I'm just going to feed the paint in to the foam, almost creating like a mini or miniature ink pad, but using the white acrylic. So I'm just going to load that up until it just sits below the surface. And then I have Butterfingers, and I've just dropped it, so I'm just going to put that down. And I have a stamp here from Indigo Blue. Now this is from the Rugged Edge set designed by Lemore Webber for Indigo Blue. And the one I've got is this kind of chicken wire long border. But I'm not going to use the entire of the border. So what I'm going to do, I haven't got a block. I could use a ruler, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to use the white paint and just tamp it on. You can see how the paint has attached itself to it. And I'm going to run that like so. And I can load it a couple of times. Doesn't have to be even. If I had a stamp block, actually I might have my Dilutions journaling block somewhere there. That might just be big enough to hold the stamp. I might just have to turn this over. Yeah, I think it's going to stick. I should have done it lengthwise, shouldn't I? Duh. There we go. Okay, so I can turn it now and do it like so. That's better. And then I can grab the top bit and then just add a little bit more. The edge. Let's take that off now and just do it. Just so we're getting a little bit of that continuation of the pattern over the top. Not particularly happy with the way it's gone there, a little bit too stark for me, but there are ways around that. Okay, so that now needs to be washed straight away, otherwise you'll ruin your stamp. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. I think I need another, actually no I'm not, go on. This is the thing you see, when you can't leave it well enough alone. That's it, just little hints. Okay, now I need to go and wash it. Right, I shall leave that to dry, and then I'll be right back. Okay, now that's dry, I've just replaced the stamp with the other grid pattern one from the same set, and I've put some black paint onto this stamp now. I'm not even going to do it all over, and I'm just going to turn that over. I don't like the way this has come out, so I'm just going to go over the top of it with this black, just to see whether or not I can break it up a little bit and take away some of that starkness. Yeah, that's done it. So I can now just introduce a little bit of that black around the page. Which I hope I did it the right way around. See, now I'm just getting black paint everywhere. Blah. Particularly I love my fingers. This is why we love wet wipes. Okay, so do a little bit on this side. Block is in the way. Blocks are great sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Just helps to tone it down a little bit. If there's something over the top. Right, okay. I'm going to go wash that one off, and then I will be back again. Quick dry, quick wash. Okay, now that everything is dry and my stamps are all washed and clean again, obviously we've got a chaotic page, so we definitely need some splatters. So I've put some of the buff paint in there, and I'm just going to add a few squirts of water, and then using my fan brush, I'll just give that a little bit of a mix, and then I'm going to just cover his face. I want some kind of largest splatters. And that should do it. Okay, let me get that dried off, and I'll be back once again. Okay, so everything's dry. All those little blobs of paint are all nice and dry, so it's time to add my little quote or phrase to my page. So I've printed this off on my computer on sticker paper, and instead of just having a plain black background, I've actually just incorporated a little bit of texture behind the writing, just to kind of break it up a little bit, and just so it's just not stark black. There is a little bit of variation in there. I didn't want the writing to be too big either. I wanted it to be small and kind of fairly insignificant. So before I finish off with that, I've got some charcoal pencils here, and I just want to go around. So I've got the dark one, and I'm just going to go around the edge and just kind of blend out those white edges of the paper. Now, you're probably not going to see it very much, but I'll know it's there. And when all's said and done, you know, we do these art journal pages to please ourselves. this adds a nice bit of shading and variation, which you could also do elsewhere on the page if you really wanted to, but I don't actually think it's necessary. And I could pick out the white charcoal pencil and then kind of add a little bit of highlight underneath, just as kind of an anti-shadow, if there is such a thing. Antimatter, light and shadow, anti-shadow. There we go. But I think actually that's going to be it. So a total monochrome, black and white and greyscale, with a little bit of shimmer hidden in there for good measure. Like that. So all I'm going to do is just sign it, if the pen's going to work. It's always a possibility that it isn't. And then put today's date, which is, oh, we always forget, 29th, isn't it? Almost at the end of the first month. There we go. So using black and white is sometimes just as much fun as using colour. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give it the obligatory thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.